Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are 4D Terminator, America's only 4D education service. I'm not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. We don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you made them in private, take care of them in private. Today, gentlemen, I'm going to show you what happens when you voluntarily accept an invitation from the 4D crime family and attend a Title 4D hearing. All right, again, keyword voluntary. Okay, let's dive right in.
Howard, do you want to have a seat up here?
Am I signing a contract if I go up here?
Mr. Howard, all right, so this is in the matter of Katie Suzanne Howard versus Daryl Levon Howard Jr. File number 19-46860DM. Mr. Howard, I'd like you to sit at the defense table, and Mr. Bruggeman and whatever witness you might have. Mr. Howard, there is no contract by.
Okay, so first and foremost, the first thing that the 4D crime family does in order to get jurisdiction over you is send you mail. Okay, they send that mail and it has a zip code on it. Once you accept that mail, you are openly and notoriously admitting that you are within the purview of the Federal District of Columbia, that 10-mile square radius. Okay? That only applies to a citizen, which according to Corpus Juris Secundum is a corporation. That's the first problem. So, gentlemen, stop accepting mail from the 4D crime family. I've been saying it for so long. Stop. Stop doing what you're doing and you'll stop getting what you're getting. So, I'm going to read you a commentary, okay? So, this rule relaxes the personal service requirements in non-dissolution paternity and child support cases. I hate that word, child support. Cases to provide for initial services by mail rather than requiring personal service. So their jurisdiction is by United States mail, which is actually mail fraud. All right. To achieve uniformity among the vicinages in respect of an entry of default actions. All right. So in other words, they mail you a document, you don't send it back, certified mail. All right. They're going to say you were served and they're going to default you. The inability to resolve paternity issues due to lack of personal service of the complaint was an issue in the expedited process, which requires the ability to enter default orders. Gentlemen, if the mail does not get sent back, they're going to default you. Personal service through the sheriff's office or welfare board personnel can be impractical and consume time. Here it is. Since the case continues to be scheduled pending successful service. So how do they get this successful service? You accept it. Let's go to page 197. All right. They use what's called diligent efforts protocol. And what diligent efforts protocol is, it operates under a federal law, the Federal Personal Responsibility Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act, Public Law 104-193, 1996. You know who that was. That was Bill Clinton. Okay? So they use federal law to confirm an obligor's address. Okay? If you look at these books and you'll see the word obligor, non-custodial pay rent, you will not see the word man. The mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. So here it is. When an obligor does not appear for a hearing and a judge or child support hearing officer is presented with the certification and probation represents that the notice sent by regular mail, here it is, has not been returned, the hearing should proceed as effective service upon what? The obligor is presumed at that point. If you do not send that mail back, right, they're going to say that, number one, the obligor was served, and number two, we never got it back, so we're going to say that you were served, and we're going to default you. And the court is also authorized to issue bench warrants for failure to appear if appropriate. Okay? Send it back, gentlemen. Every time you send it back, okay, that buys you, number one, it buys you more time. If you don't have a 4D issue and you send it back, that's all you got to do. Literally, just send it back. If they try to serve you with a sheriff or process server, just don't accept it. And if they drop it on the ground and walk away, make sure you videotape them. Say, he dropped it on the ground and walked away. Personal service, gentlemen, requires one to reach out and actually accept a document from somebody. It does not mean that they lay it on the ground or on the table on your car and walk away. They can't tape it to your door. Okay? So stop accepting mail, gentlemen. This is how they get over like a fat rat. And I tell you, man, I get people all the time, oh man, I was just curious. You okay? When you see what happens to this guy, you won't be so curious anymore. All right, stop accepting mail. Rule number 1. All right, let's go.
Entering the courtroom, a basic understanding of the law would dictate that there's no contract. I haven't being stated. I know that you're Daryl Howard. I've had jurisdiction.
Right, and I.
Okay, did you hear her? She says, I know that you are Dale Howard. All right, let's see. We got to go to page 46. All right, now this is how they get over. There you go. Accuracy of uniform summary support order. The CHO must ensure that the uniform summary support order is carefully reviewed for what? Accuracy. Here it is. The litigants must be properly named and properly identified as either obligor or obligee. Okay? Custodial or non-custodial payment. Same exact thing. Problem. Oh, wait. I think I got it up here. All right. According to 42 USC 666, Mark of the Beast, A3C, okay, it clearly states notice of the non-custodial pay rent Social Security number. The obligor / non-custodial pay rent is positively identified by a Social Security number, which means that it's not real. Social Security numbers are not forms of identification, gentlemen. All right. They don't identify any physical attributes of a human. Okay. And they're not accepted as identification except for under Title 4D. Why? Because 20 CFR 422-103D clearly states what? Social Security cards and numbers are the property of the Social Security Administration, which means if the non-custodial pay rent is identified by that social, it is property, as in ownership. And gentlemen, if it's property, it has no rights. That's why they convert you to that number. Okay? Conversion. Look at my video on it. Let's go.
I've had jurisdiction over you before because you had a case for a felony child support case as well as appearing before.
Okay, so the jurisdiction, again, comes from the mail. Mail is first form of jurisdiction, gentlemen. All right? They can't just pop up and say, well, we got a child support. No. Now, that's one rule that they seldom break. They will break it every now and then, but they seldom break it. First rule of jurisdiction is that mail with the zip code on it, addressed to a non-custodial pay rent who is identified as property and has no rights. Now, when you walk in there, she's not looking at him as Mr. Johnson. She's looking at Mr. Johnson that's on that legal name that's on the social. Okay? She's referring to him as property, not as a man. All right? Created by what? Genesis 1:26, by nature equally free and independent. It is not the same. All right? Let's go.
So this is the date and time set for hearing in this matter. Mr. Brugman, Katie Howard is in my waiting room. Is she going to be a witness today?
No.
All right. We're not worried about her being a witness. Go a little forward. All right. That's the baby mama. We'll get back to her.
Trial in this matter. Mr. Brugman, are you ready to proceed?
I am here.
Mr. Howard, are you ready to proceed? Yes or no?
Okay, Mr. Breckerman is the attorney that is prosecuting this case. All right, there's a problem though. Okay, if you look at the 4D application, all right, they all pretty much say the same thing. And gentlemen, a lot of states are actually taking the application offline because of what we're exposing. All right, and they're making you sign up for an account in order to apply for 4D services. It doesn't matter what you do, 4D crime family, your ass is mine. That's it. Okay, I'm shutting it down. All right, and I'm sorry if it's a little blurry on here. I tried to zoom in as much as I could. Let's see. Let's try it one more time. All right, right here for the application, which they do charge an application fee of $35 and an annual service fee of about $6 to $27. Doesn't matter. All right, which means they lose any immunity. So it says, do I need an attorney? It says, please note that the child support staff does not legally represent you in court. Why are they there? Okay. This man right here is representing the 40 agency. That's who's bringing this action against Mr. Johnson or whatever his name is. All right. It is not her. I hate this. Oh man, she put me on child support. No, you put yourself on child support. Number one, by accepting the invitation. Number one is actually you being ignorant of your rights. Number two is accepting an invitation. Gentlemen, the First Amendment to the United States of America, the Constitution, clearly states the First Amendment, you have the right to assemble, which means you have the right to also associate intimately or expressively. You also have the right to not associate intimately or expressively or in any other way, shape, or form. That is your discretion. So you waive your right when you choose to associate with a business for profit that's not even defined as a state agency. Let's go.
No, I had one thing I wanted to make sure. The original contract that she signed up for, I wasn't a part of. So is that void ab
There
initio?
is no contract in the birth of a child in support of the child, so thank you.
All right. That is a bold-faced lie. There is a contract that is required. It's called paternity establishment. All right. This is the Federal Manual, Section 17. First paragraph, first sentence. Paternity establishment is a prerequisite for obtaining a child support order. And I've got a note up here. All right. So, okay. Without paternity established, children have no legal claim on their father's income. Okay? 2 words, 3 words, legal claim and father. What is a legal claim? All right. Legal claim is a legal demand or assertion that is provided by a person who is seeking some type of reimbursement, payment, or compensation for loss that is under a what? Contract. Okay? This contractor just lied. All right, Title 4D is contractual in nature. 100% on the state, the federal government, and including yourself. And I'll show you that if we have time in this video. All right? So, she lied. So what is paternity establishment? Let's see here. This, fellas, is a paternity establishment. The contract. It says certificate of parentage. What is a certificate? Is a warehouse receipt, gentlemen. It's a contract. All right. This contract requires the social security number of the what? Custodial parent and the social security number of the what? Putative father. Hence that word putative father. Once a man signs this, he's no longer the putative father. He becomes the legal father. Okay? He becomes a legal father. All right? This document, and if you read it carefully, look, it tells you to contract on the first sentence. It says, what does it mean if you sign this form? Gentlemen, contracts require a signature. Anything you sign, anything that requires a signature is a contract. Paternity means fatherhood. For parents who are not married to each other, paternity may be established only by what? Signing this form. She lied. She said there is no contract when it comes to the birth of a child. That is a bold-faced lie. There has to be. This is required. Prerequisite means it is required. Okay? Favorite part. Signing this form is voluntary. And they get you at what's known as the magic moment, and these are their words. All right, immediately after the birth of the child, they come in with this form to get you to sign it. You're all excited. It's a boy, it's a girl. You're handing out cigars, and they're handing you this form to sign. Sign this. All right. Signing this form has legal consequences. For those of you who now know what those legal consequences are. Paternity is what? Legally established on the date that both parents sign this form. This form allows a parent to seek child support order without further court proceedings to establish paternity. Now, why is that, gentlemen? All right, let's check something out here. Let's go to the Black's Law. Okay, let's see here. I hope it came up on there. Okay, it didn't. All right, so I'll just read it for you right off the page here. Where you at? Okay, now the word father, gentlemen. Okay, every word in their language has a meaning. Father, as used in law, this term is according to the context and the nature of what? The instrument, include a putative, a man who is presumed to be a father, as a legal father. Okay? You become a legal father after you sign that contract. What is an instrument? Where's that? Instrument, a written document, a formal or legal document in writing, such as a contract, deed, will, bond, or lease. Okay? Now, here's the other part. Anything reduced to writing, a document of formal or solemn character, or writing giving as a means of affording evidence. All right? Not so this is contractual evidence, gentlemen. All right? So the judge lied. Okay? Yes, there is a contractual requirement for the birth of a child. Let's go.
Mr. Bregman, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, may I call your first witness?
I'd like to call Mr. Bosco. Mr. Bosco, please.
Mr. Vasquez, you want to step up here, please?
Okay. Now, so I'm going to show you. We're going to use some different laws here. I'm going to show you a couple things, and what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you how this hearing is actually proceeding. Okay. Watch this. This rule right up here, this rule and its supplemental rules describe the process by which a child support enforcement agency enters into a 4D contract with a governmental entity or private entity to provide 4D services and for the agency to receive federal financial participation reimbursement to offset the cost of the purchase of the services under a 4D contract. All right, gentlemen, this is all contractual in what you're seeing here. Okay, let's scroll down. Okay, we're going to go to the definitions. Number 3, all right, contractor refers to a private or government entity with whom the 4D agency enters into a 4D contract, right? Number 4, governmental entity includes what? The following entities. A court. So a court is a contractor. She has a prosecutor in there. All right, so the guy who brought this case, he's a contractor. They used the sheriff to arrest you. The sheriff is a contractor. They used the clerk of court to send out spurious counterfeit documents. So the clerk of court is a contractor. Okay? In law, the mention of contractor is the exclusion of judge. Okay? Let's go here. All right, any other public or governmental agency. So right here, initiated by the 4D agency or initiated refers to an activity that is started by the 4D agency. All right, so it's the 4D agency that brought this case. The contracted lawyer, he is doing this on behalf of them. All right, let's get some more fun in here. Let's see here. All right, look. What is a 4D contract? 4D contract means a mutually binding legal relationship obligating a governmental entity, the court, the prosecutor, all right, to provide 4D services in 4D cases and perform what? Other administrative duties of the 4D agency that pertain to a 4D case in return for payment by the 4D agency. So this contractor, who's not a judge, is performing administrative duties of the 4D agency. Okay? Now, if you notice, you go back up here. Let me zoom out a little bit. That's kind of close. There we go. All right. Hopefully that'll give you some. All right. So we're going to go down to 13. Oh, past it. 14. There you go. All right. Look. Private entity means a company or organization or individual that does not meet the definition of a governmental entity. Let's go back up to 4. Or was it 3? Yep, 4. Look, contractor refers to a governmental entity. So the court, all right, is deemed a governmental entity, okay, but it's under a contract. But under the definition of these governmental entities, right, it says governmental entity includes the following entities in the same county as the 4D agency. It says court, prosecutor, sheriff, clerk of court, records office, treasurer's office, any other public or governmental agency. Does it say anything about the 4D agency being a governmental entity? No, it does not. So this contractor is performing administrative duties of a non-governmental entity. Okay, it's not. The 4D agency, gentlemen, is not part of this government. It is an instrumentality of the federal government. All right, so we got the contract. We know they're under a contract. Move, fly. All right. We know that the 4D agency is a private entity, all right, and does not meet the definition of a governmental entity. Now, let's go here. All right, shows the types of contracts. The types of 4D contracts the 4D agency elects to enter into include, but are not limited to, 4D contract with the prosecutor to provide service of process, including warrants for arrest. 4D contract with the sheriff, all right, to provide service of process, including warrants for arrest. All right. Number 5, a contract with the clerk of the court to provide the duties of clerk of court that are initiated by the 4D agency, which does not meet the definition of a governmental entity. Okay. A 4D contract with the court with the court to provide magistrate services. The CSEA may elect to purchase. They purchase these services from these guys. All right. Look, a 4D contract with the court to provide for probation officer services, right? To provide enforcement duties that target what? Only individuals placed on probation for non-payment. What are those individuals called? Non-custodial pay rent, identified by Social Security number, which is identified as property. Okay? So, this is one of my favorite parts. Okay. There it is right here. Under this contract, right, gentlemen, and this is your remedy. Okay? The court shall certify that all court hearings are conducted in compliance with Title 4D of the Social Security Act, 42 U.S.C. 651. All right, 42 U.S.C. 651. If I have it up here, let's see. 666, yeah. I'll pull it up for you. 42 U.S.C. 651. This, gentlemen, is Title 4D of the Social Security Act. This one code right here. Okay? Authorization of appropriations. For the purpose of enforcing the support obligations owed by what? Non-custodial pay rents. All right. Title 4D only applies to non-custodial pay rents. I don't even have to read it any further. By all means, please do. But it mentions non-custodial pay rents in here twice. All right. To their children and spouse or former spouse with whom such children are living. Here it is again. Locating non-custodial pay rents. There it is. Establishing paternity, right? First and foremost. Then obtaining child and spousal support. Okay. Just in that order. Find you, establish paternity in order to obtain. If they can't establish paternity, all right, without paternity established, there's no legal claim on a father's income. All right, let's go.
Mr. Vasquez, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, have a seat, please. Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Jay Vasquez,
And you are employed by?
front of the court.
It's very good. Mr.
All right, he's employed by friend of the court. All right, friend of the court, a loan detached and disconnected organizational unit under a contract with the alone detached and disconnected organizational unit operating in the state.
Rugman?
Mr. Vasquez, could you say your position with the front of the court?
Enforcement officer.
In that capacity, do you have access to the defendant's files and records?
I do.
Is there an order to pay child support?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there it is right there. The mention of child support. What does Blessings versus Freestone say, folks? Blessing versus Freestone. All right, United States Supreme Court clearly ruled that Title IV-D was never intended to benefit individual children or custodial parents. All right, does not create a federal right, far from creating an entitlement to services. All right, I would have objected right there. I wouldn't have been there, first of all, but if he knew anything about Title IV-D, he could have used that. Let's go.
What does that order state?
Mr. Howard is ordered to pay $151 a month.
Objection. Order. Ordered to pay. Who ordered? Order comes from authority, right? He wasn't ordered by a judge. No, he was not. He was ordered by a contractor, right? Who, under Title IV-D of the Act, which was never enacted into positive law, swore that that's how the hearing was going to go. Okay? It's just that simple, fellas. No more, no less. Look, matter of fact, I'll go one better. Let me see here if I can find it. I think I got it up here. Okay, here it is. Bam. This is a sample of a Title IV-D contract. All right. Every court has to have one. I'm using Ohio's because I really love what it says. All right. Some are a little bit evasive, but it doesn't matter. We have their just get their contract and it's shut down. All right. So this is a contract between the 4D agency, right, which is not a state agency, and the courts. Okay. And we're going to go down to, now we know that the courts are contractors. We're going to go to line 18. Look, independent capacity of the contractor. The contractor and its agents and employees and subcontractors will act in performance of this 4D contract in an independent capacity and not as officers, employees, or agents of the state or the 4D agency. All right, you notice it says the state or. All right, it doesn't say the state of 4D agency. It says the state or. All right, they're separate. All right, separate means detached, disconnected. It's not a state agency.
And he is currently behind the amount of $8,298.
That's a